Do you see that? Bunch of ducks taking off. I guess they don't like to be on camera. Hi folks, my name is Tim Smith. I'm the founder of the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School, and welcome to Observational Weather Forecasting. This is going to be an online course. It's the same course that we run at our field school during our long-term immersion programs. But we're going to put this thing online and see if we can free up a bit of extra time during our immersion program so we can spend more time in the field. So that's a benefit for you. Because of the coronavirus, because of what's going on, we had planned to charge a bit of money for this, but you know, a lot of people are home bored looking for something to do, so why not learn something about the weather? So based here, this is Russ Pond in Wolfboro, New Hampshire. This is where I grew up. And if you look out at the lake behind me, when I was a kid, my dad, who was a career pilot and knew something about the weather, I remember him telling me that when the wind is blowing from that way to this way, that we were going to have some bad weather, and when it was going from there to that way, the weather was going to be nice. And I said okay, and I didn't think much more about it for a number of years. But you know, why is that? And it has to do with the directions, it has to do with pressure systems, it has to do with low pressure coming out of the south or the east, the indicator winds. So there's a lot of things that go into why that is. We live at an interesting period in time where we're probably the dumbest human beings to ever walk the planet in all of the history of humanity, because we're so focused on things around us, screens, phones, other things. We really don't know much about the world that we live in. And part of our mission at the Jack Mountain Bushcraft School is to change that, around so that we do learn something useful about the world that we live in. So what you need in order to participate in this program is you need to go to bushcraftschool.com, and you can register using your real name, because we don't do internet handles. I never ever want to have a discussion with somebody named Bushmaster 007 or any other kind of goofy handle. I'd rather talk to a real person, and I think the internet seems to be coming around to that sort of mindset as well. So you go there, you register, and then you'll click on the courses tab and go into the weather course. And this course official title is Nature 191, Understanding the Weather and Observational Forecasting. So what's going to happen is that we are going to work through this book, Eric Sloan's weather book. There's 14 chapters. It's an awesome junior high science book, and even if you can't read, you can still get a ton out of it. There are tons of awesome diagrams and drawings in this. So I'm a huge fan of junior high science books because the authors have to write and explain things clearly. Unlike college textbooks, they can't hide behind big fancy 5-syllable words. None of that here. So what's our goal with studying the weather? It's not to become professional meteorologists. It's not to become the weather person on the TV station. It's to be able to have a sense of the weather. So for example, we're out here, and say if you were working as a guide and we have to paddle across a big, you know, there's a big spot. We're sea kayaking on the coast. We've got to paddle out to an island. We've got to do like a 3-mile open water crossing. You know, if there are cumulonimbus clouds increasing rapidly in size, is that a good time to go or a good time not to go? If we're in the high alpine country and we want to summit and there's a strong south wind, even though it looks clear and the summit's going to take us 7 hours, yeah, do we want to go or do we not want to go? It's these things. It's understanding the weather and having a sense of it. It's not necessarily becoming a professional meteorologist. And you know, I just like to touch on the point, is it worthwhile to learn these things in this era when I can look at my phone and have a 10-day forecast and know everything in the world? For me, it definitely is. And I'm going to tell you why. Obviously, phones can break, lose batteries, get out of cell coverage. That's one thing. And it's a valid point. But the big reason why I like to learn and practice and teach about the weather is because it drastically increases people's ability to appreciate nature, right? So being out here, being able to take a look up at the sky, see what the weather's doing, it just makes me feel that much closer and that much more a part of it. Yes, there are practical benefits if I'm guiding a trip. Yes, there are practical benefits if I'm out recreating. Yes, there are practical benefits on knowing how the weather impacts people's moods and behaviors. But it's okay to just want to do it just because it's cool, just because it's interesting, and just because it makes life more interesting. So we're going to go through the weather book, and then on the online network we're going to post this from our curriculum, and this is a big sheet there that you will go through this sheet twice a day, and you will record the weather. Things you'll record are date and time, temperature, cloud type and percentage of cover, humidity, barometric pressure, that's a big one, phase of the moon, and then we're also going to log our personal energy level. So over time we can track our energy level with regards to what the weather's been doing. And lastly, we're going to make a prediction for the next 24 hours, right? What's the weather going to do in the next 24 hours based on what I see around me here and now. We're into year 21 of running long-term semester programs. So I've taught this stuff for a number, over 2 decades, and I've watched a lot of people get really good at it. And if you're diligent with it, you do the work, you make the recordings of the data, people get to be as good as the weatherman on TV pretty quickly. So the duration of this course is 30 consecutive days. We want 30 consecutive days of data recorded, written down. And in that time, the first 14 days, we're going to work through Eric Sloan's weather book. And then, the last 2 weeks or so, it shouldn't take you much time. The first couple of times we go through and fill out the weather data might take us 10, 15 minutes. But, after a couple of days of doing it, it doesn't take long at all. Maybe 3 or 4 minutes in the morning, 3 or 4 minutes in the evening. But if you stick with it, the benefits, the payoffs are huge. So, welcome to the weather course. Again, you can sign up for free at bushcraftschool.com. And your homework for tonight is to read the introduction and chapter 1 of Eric Sloan's weather book here. So, just for the sake of doing it, we're faced just about directly south. You're looking south. The wind right now is out of the west. We've got, I'd say 85% cover on the types of clouds. Cumulus, one type of cumulus. I don't want to get too into cloud names. And now I'm going to check the barometric pressure. So the barometric pressure is rising, but not that steeply. So west wind, rising barometric pressure. We had a storm last night. I'm going to say my prediction for the weather tomorrow is going to be clear and nice. Thanks for watching. Check us out, bushcraftschool.com.